Greetings, Steve. Steve Vibronics.
Greetings. Welcome to Romania.
Thank you very much. No, not the first time. Been here many times. So Bucharest is, it's like my second home.
I would like to start by asking about your roots in music and the first time you made music, and why did you end up in making dub music, UK dub music?
Well, I've asked myself that question a million times. How did I end up doing this? But I mean, I've always loved music from when I was a child. It's always been so important to me. And the thing is, everybody loves music. It touches everybody. And when I was a kid, it was like, oh yeah, I just want to do music. I love music. And of course, everyone says that. But eventually, most other people, they got interested in other stuff. But for me, music never went away. I just got more and more interested in it. And the real turning point for me was when I started getting into, I guess, kind of like punk music and kind of sort of rock music and stuff. And this is kind of in the early 80s.
Rebellion.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, rebelling, just turning the music up. And then I met a bunch of guys. I was living in a very small town in the UK, tiny town, nothing happening at all, no scene, no life going on really. And I met these guys who were playing in a band, and they were a few years older than me. And I went to see them, like they were kind of rehearsing in the guy's lounge in his house, and in his parents' house, and they're playing, and it's like, oh, this is great. These guys are in a band. How cool is that? They're playing. They were shit. They couldn't play a note, but it was great. They were playing, and it's like, that's what I want to do.
Was it a punk?
Yeah, that kind of punk rock kind of band, and playing that kind of shouting and kind of loud guitars and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's what I want to do. So I got this really shit guitar that I got off my friend just for a few pounds. It was a really terrible guitar. And my mum had always played piano and always sung in a choir, so I was always kind of around music. And she tuned my guitar for me and kind of showed me what the notes were. And I just started picking it up and hanging out with these people in bands. And then I just got into playing in bands, and this is when I was like, I guess 14, 15 years old.
So is guitar your first connection?
Yeah, guitar was my thing, really.
To understanding.
And it was when I moved to Leicester. I moved to Leicester to go to university to study. And I was still into kind of like, into like punk music and rock music and stuff. And then, but also the dance music thing had begun to explode. And reggae music was always around as well. But it was really when I moved to this other city that I really discovered reggae music, because Leicester's a real culturally mixed city, people from all over the place there. It's got a big Asian community and a big African Caribbean community, a lot of people from the Caribbean. And I started hearing reggae music everywhere. I started listening to the music and thinking, yeah, I'm going to try and make some of this. And then, I was like hanging out with people who were into reggae music, and we just started teaching each other how to make it, listening to it, thinking, well, how do you get that sound, and how do you do that? And it all kind of started from that, really, and then it just carried on. And
so you first made music with the guitar, acoustic reggae?
Well, no, because the reggae I was into, I started listening to things like Scientist and King Tubby and Lee Perry and stuff.
Digitally.
Yeah, before the kind of digital thing, and it was I'd thought of reggae as being like chill out music. It's just kind of stuff that you just you can relax to, and it's kind of And it's only when I started going to sound system events that I could see people playing these stepper tunes and everyone dancing, and it's like, wow, I didn't realise reggae was like dance music. I thought you just chilled out, and and it's like, and you hear it played at a dub session, and it's like the bass is shaking the whole place, and so everyone's dancing, and people are chatting on the mic, and there's sirens and sound effects, and in a really dark room. It's really quite an intense experience, and a bit like my background, which had been listening to like punk bands in like small dark rooms and kind of intense
also heavy music.
Yeah, exactly, that intensity. I've always liked that, and because I'd listened to this old reggae like Scientist and like even like Bob Marley and kind of Burning Spear and stuff, I'd always thought reggae was you're in a reggae band, you play kind of reggae with guitars and bass. And then I was listening to this music, and it's like thinking, well, this isn't guitar, this is like drum machines and like synthesizers and stuff. And it's like, so we started borrowing a few bits of equipment from people and kind of playing some bits. Oh, right, so that's that sound, and that's this, with the drum machine and with the bass sort of synthesizer and stuff, and kind of realizing how to make it. And we just kind of learned from listening to music.
Very nice.
So this coming, just finding the same samples somehow.
Yeah, you just
this
listen.
sounds like.
All you got is your ears. You listen to it and think, okay. And because I'd done that before with music, with rock, with punk music, I listen and you think, how do I do? I want my music to sound like that. So what is that sound? You listen to it, think, okay, well that's a guitar, or that's a synthesizer, or that's a drum machine. And you think, okay. So you get hold of a drum machine, you play it, and it's like, okay, well that sounds like the same kind of beat, and you're halfway there already. And then you just.
Can you tell us a little about your first acquisition?
My first studio.
Yeah.
What did I have? I had I mean, I was lucky. I bought a Roland Juno from this kind of this guy who obviously had some kind of mental problems. He was a bit of a strange guy, and he was selling this Roland Juno really cheap. And I remember that he wanted to sell it to me in the corridor outside his apartment because he was too paranoid to let me into his apartment. And that was kind of my first dub instrument. I bought this synthesizer from this crazy guy, and then because in the UK, even before the current explosion of like music technology and stuff, music's been around. It's such an important thing. It's around everywhere. Everybody's in a band, and everybody's like a DJ or a singer or in a band, and everybody has some kind of instrument. They've got a keyboard or a guitar or a drum machine or a drum kit. It's just everywhere in the UK. So you could get hold of, and even then, this is like, I'm talking early 90s now, even then you could buy and get hold of cheap equipment, old drum machines, old effects units, old mixing desks. You could find them cheap, second-hand shops, junk shops, borrow them from people, that kind of stuff. So you could get together a real basic studio even then for next to nothing, and then plug it in and just start. Because also with dub music, it's simple music. It's like it's a beat and a bass line, some melody, maybe some vocals or whatever, and some simple effects, and that's it. So you can start making it with quite basic equipment. And especially the UK, because in Jamaica it was a bit different. You had quite simple studios like King Tubby's studio, but he still had some good equipment in there. And also the music was recorded in these amazing studios like Channel 1 and stuff. They were using really amazing equipment. But in the UK, the music was kind of made, in council estates and in squats and whatever. So it was kind of ghetto style, exactly. So it was made using really basic equipment. Yeah. So you could get hold of the equipment. So I had I had an old Yamaha drum machine, and I had this other Yamaha synthesizer, and I had an old Alesis reverb unit and some old echo unit, and it's this really a Star Sound mixing desk, which was just cost me next to nothing.
Do you still have them?
I have a couple of the bits, but then I had to sell some of it to improve it and whatever, and it was all really basic, but I had just enough equipment to start.
All this mixed up, and I heard you came out with everything on a cassette.
Yeah, well, you could have DAT players then, but DAT players are expensive, and DAT tapes were expensive. So the initial mixes were all done onto cassette tape, and there were quite a lot of people doing that. I'd go and buy a high quality metal tape for like £3, and the best tape I could get, and then just record onto that, and then I'd start giving that out to people.
Just interesting how things were back in the days.
Well, there was no internet, no MP3, no copying, and because this audio tape was the master, if I wanted to copy it, I had to do a copy of that onto another tape, which meant the quality would go down. And then of course, because it's a tape, sometimes they snap and break, or you lose them, and those original recordings are very kind of, they're very fragile things.
Need a backup.
Yeah, but there was no backup. That was it. You could copy that, but because you're copying analog, it's already inferior.
So the
original one is like, that's it. There is nothing else. That's the master tape. Not like now where you just copy it, upload it to the cloud, email it to people. It's all fine. But back then, it's like, no, that's it.
Exclusive
that item.
Things.
Yeah, totally, exactly.
And so you started making music. What did you do with that music? I mean,
well, first of all, I'd just listen to it and play it to friends and people around me and the guys.
Do you have
just
a sound or something?
No. I was always going to the sound system sessions, especially in those early days. It was like Abashanti and Josh Shaka, especially Abashanti because he played a lot in Leicester, where I live. And I'd be going to the sessions, hearing the music and buying a lot of music and listening to music and playing music at home and kind of thinking, oh, a sound system, I'd love a sound system, but really it was all about the studio for me. It was kind of making the music was always more important to me. So I started listening to it and comparing it, recording onto tape and then playing it alongside the records I was buying and thinking, well, why does mine sound shit? It's like, okay, that's because this is shit and that's shit, and you'd start trying to make it better and talking to people, say, why, how do you get, you know, other people, even people producing other kinds of music like dance, because this is the time of the kind of dance music explosion in the UK. You've got like techno and house music and stuff, and the beginnings of jungle, and so people everywhere are producing music in their bedrooms, and you listen and you think, oh, that bass sounds great, how do you get that sound? And they say, oh, I'm doing this or doing that.